Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Here from Colorado, it's Betsy Walker, and I'm excited to come to you again on Wednesday to give you some tips on how to be healthier. Today, I'm going to kind of follow up on my talk that I did last week, which is really a quick 101 on neurology. And if you haven't seen that and you want to go back to it, it's in the group. The Optimized Mind and Body group. If you're seeing this on my page, you can join the group and see that video. Also, just want to give you a heads up. I'm planning a challenge for the end of August, and you'll see some advertisements for that. So I hope you'll jump into that. Talk to you a little bit more about what, go into depth of some of the things that I talk about on my lives. So if you want to know more, it's a good chance to do that. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about fear. All right. Fear that, it's really false expectations appearing real. Okay. So many of us are experiencing fear these days. And, your current situation is probably very similar to many people around the world and in this country. We have fears about our finances. We have fears about whether we're going to get sick. We have fears about our parents. Fears about just how our government's going to be run and what's going to happen in our election, and just so many things that people are worried about. So how does this relate to our body? All right. I want to kind of bring it in because everything that we experience on the inside and the outside actually affects us from a neurological standpoint, right? So when we are fearing something, we're making predictions, or our brain is trying to make predictions about the future, right? And that happens on the physical level as well, okay? So if we've had injuries or we've had illness, or something is gone awry in our body over time, our brain is not as good about predicting. And that actually affects how we function. So for instance, if you had an injury as a younger person, maybe you were in a sport or something, and you healed and everything, you went on, but then down the road, you start feeling pain in that area. Or you maybe have, say you had an ankle injury and now you're having knee problems. Well, there's something that happens in the brain when we get injured. The brain loses the ability to predict what's going on in that joint because it shuts off information so that can heal. And then sometimes it doesn't get reactivated. So the brain doesn't get the map again. All right, so that's why I do a lot of the exercises I do in these videos and with my programs, is to give the brain the full map of the body so that it can predict, right? And so we need to do that both on a physical level and also on an emotional level. So I was recently on a webinar because I do a lot of things with essential oils and emotional release as well. And that webinar was over 600 people, and we were all there to learn about an updated technique to release fear. All right, it's called the doomsday technique. And it was amazing when you could see the chat box light up when the doctor who was leading it said, can everybody type in what you're dealing with fear these days? And it was just like, just rolling people, all these fears that people are having, over 600 people. And it was just going on and on and on. So this is real. Everybody has them. We might kind of push them to the side and say, yeah, I'm not going to think about that. But actually, we actually do think of it from our subconscious level. So when we have fear on an emotional level, our thoughts and our feelings and those kind of things, it actually affects our physical. So our heart rate is changed, our strength is changed, our digestion changes. I mean, everything on a physiological level, everything changes. Our breathing changes, which really affects our physical as well. So I just want to bring that together for you all and help you understand that it's not, you know, oh, I'm just going to deal with my physical problem and leave my emotional fear over here. And they're separate, because they aren't separate, right? They're very integrated. And so that's an important aspect that I bring into my programs to help people feel healthy all around. It's more of a holistic approach. So as I've said, I believe that the root cause of many of our health problems is because of this fight or flight response that we have to fear and to the lack of our brain being able to predict. So, but prediction is instinctive. So it's actually meant to protect us, you know, so we don't get eaten by the tiger, or, you know, we're able to, you know, feed ourselves, or whatever it is that, you know, we, in our, you know, ancestry needed to protect ourselves. That fear was there to provide us so that we would not, you know, die. All right. And so how do we circumvent this primitive response, which we really, it's really counterproductive for us in this day and age. Now, intuition is another thing. That's important to have intuition, but in terms of having this derailing of our nervous system is not good for us, because if we're in a constant state of fear and fight or flight, then we are going to have health problems, and you'll actually start to have physical problems from that, you know, pain, arthritis, you know, heart problems, you name it, it can happen. And, you know, inflammation is a big one everybody deals with. So the way we do this is we need to give the brain better information. If we give the brain better information, it's going to become better at predicting. Okay, it's going to calm things down. So you may have seen some of my videos where I show you some things. I'm going to show you some things right now, just to for some of you that haven't seen some of my videos. But I'm going to show you some movement and things that I do, you know, in the movement world to actually help the brain have better prediction. So the first one is joint mobility. Right, so there's little things in our joints that give our brain information. Proprioceptors, mechanoreceptors, nociceptors, you know, detect noxious things. So what we want to do is we want to give some good information to the brain so that we can move better and our brain can have a better map of the body. So one example is if you have, say, your right hip is bothering you, okay? If you move your left shoulder, you're in the brain, they're associated with each other, and you can give the brain more information about the opposite hip, all right? So I'm moving my left shoulder and giving my brain information about my left hip. Okay, so that's just an example. A lot of times in the morning, I'll wake up and my lower back is tight. I've had injury, and so I have to work on that. And so what I will do is I'll actually move my thoracic spine, because that gives the brain information to help me move my lower back. Just an example. May not be for you, but just want to give you some examples. The other thing is vision. Vision takes a huge part of the brain real estate. And it's very high on priority, because obviously if we didn't have vision, we wouldn't be able to protect ourselves. So that's that, you know, that instinctual protection for us. So vision, you know, if you haven't had your vision checked regularly, I encourage you to do that. One thing though I've come to understand is that the eye doctors are looking for one thing in terms of how can you read, can you see far away, you know, how do you function, right? But there's other issues with vision that you would have to go to a higher level, like even a visual occupational therapist, to really get to the basis of that. So if you do some of these vision exercises with me, and you're seeing that you've got some issues, you might want to see a specialist that's an occupational person within the vision therapy realm. So with vision, you want to work on your peripheral vision. So to be able to, see in your peripheral vision, you want to work those muscles in your eyes. So you're looking side to side. And this is one thing that I see happen, or people lose really quickly, is the vision, because we're all focused on our phones and all focused on a computer, and we don't work that, right? That gets weak. So I really encourage my students to work the peripheral part of their vision, okay? And the other thing is we're looking down a lot, it seems like. We're looking down at our phone, so we don't look up a lot. So you want to try and get your eyes to go up and then down, up and down. And if these things make you dizzy, then obviously you need to work on that, but you have to do it at a pace that is good for you. So with eyes, you can go all different directions, up, down, side to side, diagonals. I really encourage you to work those areas of your muscles in your eyes. Okay, so vision is another one. Vestibular. Okay, so our vestibular system is really our internal GPS, and that can become weak. If you're in a car accident, that can be affected. If you like to ride a lot of roller coasters, that can be affected. But even going to the gym and getting on a treadmill can actually affect your vestibular system, because there's a sensory mismatch there. First of all, you've got something going underneath you, but you're not really moving in space. So that's very confusing to your brain, trying to figure out how to predict what's going to happen. So a lot of these things that we experience in life, we don't realize that it actually affects our vestibular system. So one thing you can do is you can just put your feet together and move your head and see how that is. If it makes you sway or fall, then you know you got something's up. Now, there's more challenging stances you can use. For instance, you can stand on one leg and try that, moving your head. And again, if you get dizzy and you have, or you're nauseous and all these things, that's a sign that you need some help there. All right, so you need to reach out and get some help for that. But again, moving the head in all different directions, and challenging your vestibular system and working that vestibular system, that gives your brain a better map and a better feeling of prediction, so that when you become off balance, it knows what to do. Okay. Then sensory stimulation. This is really interesting because a lot of people have had maybe scars on their body from injuries or surgeries, or even tattoos are big on this, and that on our skin, there's lots of information that goes up and down our skin. And so when there's been something wrong and it hasn't been worked on, then it kind of goes dead in terms of the brain. There's just not any information. So if you have scars, you might want to rub that scar. If you have tattoos, rub the tattoo, and you might find that you will have better access to that area of your body. All right, so sensory is important. Breathing is huge. All right, so breath work. I love to do breath work with my classes and my students and my coaching clients, because there's just so many benefits to good breath work in terms of calming the nervous system, but also there's movement that happens when you're breathing through the ribs and through the joints in the spine, because the ribs connect into the spine. So I really encourage some good breath work and working the different areas of breath. So it's not just, up here where most people breathe, but it's from the bottom to the top. It's from side to side. It's front to back. So there's all sorts of different breath patterns that we can do. And then I like to just really use breath as I move. So if I'm inhaling and wanting to, move my rib cage to one side, I'm going to inhale to that side, and then exhale, and then inhale to the other side. So that actually facilitates the movement. All right, so moving and breathing is really, really helpful. All right, so the other couple things that are really important and many people leave out is smell. Our amygdala is very close to the olfactory glands. And so when we smell something, we can have an immediate emotional response. And it can be good or bad, but it can also, smell can actually cause the nervous system to relax. And so when we're talking about fear, this is where we can really work on breaking through those fears and negative beliefs that occur because of fear. So when we have fear, we're predicting based on what we've experienced in the past. So if you go back to maybe an experience you've had in the past recently or even in childhood, and your brain stored information based on what happened. And so when you come across something that's similar, your brain connects that to what it's predicting might happen. So this can be a real roadblock. And I see this like with people in movement. So they might feel like they can't do something because they fear that they might hurt something, or they might seem uncoordinated or clumsy. So it's a block for them, and so they never get past that point. So that's what I like to use my my aroma freedom release techniques with, to help people move through that more psychological issue, which is affecting the physical issues. So smell is really big, and it can change things like that, especially when you're using pure therapeutic essential oils. And hearing is the next thing. So when we hear a sound, there's a frequency to it. So you might have heard, like, I just recently did a summit, and we had a practitioner using singing bowls, Tibetan singing bowls. Those frequencies of those bowls actually help the brain understand the world better and help the brain to actually heal because of the calming effects. So my daughter actually had some hearing kind of based therapy with different frequencies, in which she was actually listening to music that was filtered. So it was filtered for specific frequencies, and doing movement at the same time. So challenging her muscles and her joints and her coordination while she was listening. And we had profound effects for her in terms of how her brain was predicting and actually how it was functioning. So she actually got more, she got better at her tasks and more efficient. And she's an athlete, so that was really big for her. And she could notice a difference in her coordination and her control and a lot of things. So hearing can be very big too. If you're losing your hearing, that is a big thing that happens as we get older. And so when we start to lose hearing, the brain has a hard time predicting, and then it puts it on alert. So that can be very detrimental. And I encourage you to get as much help in that area if that's what's happening to you. So, and there are a lot of good therapies out there for that. All right, so those are some of the things that I do to help the brain calm down, have better prediction, so that people can have better health and move better and get out of pain. So it's all connected, and it's really important. When you're trying to choose, what do you do, right? Do you go to the gym and do just the regular stuff? Or do you actually target what you need, what your body needs? So the first thing that's really important is to have an open mind, okay? Because a lot of us are kind of stuck in our idea of what it means to be strong, or to get in shape, or to, we want to do this kind of exercise. Is it better than is swimming better than cycling, or better than whatever? It really depends on you, right? Because we're all unique human beings, and our past and our neurology and our body are all different in terms of what we've experienced and what we, how we are right now. So just realize that everything you do can create a response from multiple areas in the body. So if you do something that's harmful, you're going to have reactions in multiple areas, physiologically and physically, in terms of movement. So one event affects many. All right, so that's important to know. And it's not to scare you, but just know that you have to really be mindful of what you're doing, especially as we age. And then the other thing that's really, really important, and you'll see me do a lot, is assessments, okay? So I don't have a lot of time today to do assessments, but before all my classes, I have people check in with their bodies and find something that they want to assess. So they assess in the beginning, and then we might assess maybe halfway through and then the end, or we might assess after each exercise to see if that's right for them, okay? So the neurology of it will basically tell you if it's good for you or not. So one assessment I like to use is balance, right? Just simple balance exercise. So you find out where you are. I have people stand on one foot if their balance is good enough. If not, then they might want to stand with one foot in front of the other and just see how their balance is and notice, feel, how hard is it? Am I swaying? Am I moving over one hip or the other? Am I having to work a lot through my ankles and my feet? Right. And then if you're athletic or whatever, and that's not hard for you, you can also, give yourself a little challenge. You can, move your arms, or you can move your head while you're balancing and kind of get a baseline. And then do an exercise. Like I said, do a joint exercise. So like sometimes I'll have people, move their wrist, right? Up and down, side to side. And then see if it changed your balance. Okay, so it tells you if it made it worse, then it tells you that's not a good exercise for you. If it made you stronger, then that is a good exercise for you. Now, if it made you a lot worse, it means that we need to work on something, right? So it doesn't mean totally avoid it, but it means that, okay, it needs to be a therapeutic exercise in the right dose for you. All right, so that's a whole nother area, the right dosing, okay? And I did talk a little bit about that last week. The other important thing is to clear out all negative thoughts and beliefs, okay? And that's what I do with the Aroma Freedom technique and really work with people on the emotional level so that we can move forward on the physical level, all right? And the way we assess with that is we use scales, right? So we're, on a scale to 1 to 10, how hard is this or how traumatic is this to you? And the nice thing about the Aroma Freedom technique that I use is people don't have to share. It's not like where you go to a therapist and you have to share all your stuff. It's all kept to them. I just guide the process. So it's pretty neat because people have big changes and ahas through the systematic approach that we use. So I encourage you when I offer that as an option, through my coaching programs, or even if I do a free thing, jump on that one because that one's really, really helpful. So that's what I have for you today. I want to also encourage you all to look out for my challenge that's going to be coming up. Right now I'm deciding the curriculum for that. It's going to be a 5-day free challenge with some bonuses. So you're going to be able to try some of this stuff and get familiar with how this can actually help you be healthier, feel better, get out of pain, whatever it is that you want to do physically, and live, a better, more optimized life. So hope this is helpful for you today. It's so great to see you all here. And I look forward to any comments you might have. Please, any suggestions that you want to hear about or know. Likes and comments are so welcome. I appreciate it very much. And I hope you all have a great week and that you find something to actually work on, some maybe joint mob or whatever, and then, test it and see if it helps you. All right. I look forward to seeing you next week for my live. Have a great day.